Time now for everybody's favorite guessing game, What's My Line? Brought to you by New Stopette, America's leading spray deodorant. The lotion spray deodorant that's like balm to your skin. Boom. There goes perspiration. Now let's all play What's My Line?
And now let's meet our award-winning What's My Line panel. First, the popular Broadway columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in the New York Journal-American and papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
And on my left, pinch hitting for Fred Allen, the man without the appendix, is a perfectly enchanting chap who is also a television star himself, Robert Q. Lewis.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Hey!
On my left, a perfectly enchanting temptress who enchants you every day at home, Miss Arlene Francis.
Thank you. And at my left, the gracious publisher of Random House, the giddy columnist of This Week, Mr. Bennett, Cerf.
On my left, the man who pulls this whole show together, our suave, knowledgeable, utterly uncomplacent panel moderator, John Charles Daly.
Thank you, Bennett. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line. It's another Sunday night when we hope to be able to fool the panel, in spite of all those kind remarks from Bennett. And we have some people, I think, whose occupations are going to give them some trouble. We'll also have a famous guest challenger a bit later on, but now I think it's time for these experts of ours to meet the first challenger whose line has to be spotted. So would you sign in, please, sir? G.W. Walt Fisher. Fisher, there must be one inevitable question. Do your friends call you G.W. or Walt?
Walt.
Walt. Well, I won't be too forward, I trust, if I call you Walt. Right. Where are you from, sir?
Minden, Nevada.
Minden?
Minden. M-I-N.
Minden, Nevada. Yeah. Well, it's nice to have somebody come from so far away to visit us. And I would just ask you to take one more brief visit, if you will, so that the panel can get a better look at you.
Is that near Carson City, Mr. Walt? Is it?
Hi, how are you?
How are you, sir?
Oh.
All right, over here, Mr. Fisher, if you will, and sit down next to me. I would wonder if you're familiar with our scoring processes. Do you know how we use these cards here?
No, I don't.
Well, I tell you what, every time you can give the answer a big fat no, that big fat no answer to the panel, why, I'll flip a card. And when I flipped 10 of these cards, you have won the game. Now let's let the folks who are at home and those who are our guests here in the theater know exactly what your line is. I will tell you that Mr. Fisher is salaried, and let's begin the general questioning with Bennett, Cerf.
Mr. Fisher, may I try to eliminate the two principal occupations in Nevada? I don't think you have anything to do with either divorce or gambling. Am I correct?
No.
I'm not
Wait a
correct.
minute now. Wait a minute. Let's have a...
Divorce again.
You posed this question so that a negative answer would be an affirmative reply. Is that right?
I meant that you have neither anything to do with divorce directly or with any kind of gambling directly.
That's right.
That's correct.
No.
That's... Yeah, well, here we go again. Let's just leave. That's correct.
Yes,
Mr.
no.
Fisher
All
has
right.
nothing to do with divorce or gambling.
Might you have something to do with public office in the state of Nevada?
Yes.
Is it an elected office that you occupy?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to start at the top. Are you the governor of Nevada?
No.
One down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
He may be very shortly.
Do you ever work in a courtroom?
Do you ever work in a courtroom, sir?
Yes.
Do you ever wear robes?
Do you ever wear robes
No.
when you're in the courtroom?
No.
You do not wear robes. That's 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Lewis.
Just sport shirt and slacks or something like that.
Well, no, Mr. Fisher does not wear judicial.
In other words, sir, you do not, would I be correct in assuming that you do not hold court, as it were, then?
Did you hear that question, sir?
No.
Well, Mr. Lewis would want to know if he would be correct in assuming that you do not hold court, then. You do hold court. So Mr. Lewis would be wrong in his assumption, and that would mean a no answer. That makes it 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
You are elected to office.
Yes.
Is it a, would you by any chance be the mayor?
Mayor?
No.
No, that's 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Do you have anything to do, Mr. Fisher, with the uranium strikes around Nevada? Would you have anything to do with
No.
registering claims?
It'd be nice if you did, though.
He'd like to, Bennett, but he doesn't. Doesn't have anything to do with the uranium strikes. 5 down and 5 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
I suppose I'm being unnecessarily stubborn about this, but, Mr. Fisher, even if you do not wear robes, are you cloaked in some type of judicial dignity?
Can't get it.
Are you cloaked in some type of judicial dignity even if you do not wear robes?
Yes.
Well, are you a magistrate or judge of any kind?
Well, now the question, are you a magistrate? A justice of the peace? That would be about right. Very good, actually.
Has nothing to do with divorce. He has to do with marriage.
Has
which
to
is
do with
nice.
marriage. I thought when Bennett said, oh, I thought you were going to get it right off the bat, Bennett. Divorce and gambling. I thought you were going to say marriage. And I will tell you, Mr. Fisher has a rather topical interest in these times because it was he who married Clark Gable and Miss Kay Williams this past Yes, Miss Dorothy.
Did you get to kiss the bride?
No.
Didn't get to kiss
I got a
her.
no answer.
Miss Kilgallen?
What was she wearing?
What was she wearing? This is the man. We men have no interest in that. So I would like to ask a question, if I may. Was this something that you knew about in advance?
No.
Or what happened? How did you come to marry them?
They just walked up to the door and rang the bell.
They walked up to the door and rang the bell.
And you weren't even wearing a robe, sir?
No.
And I'll bet you were glad you didn't go to the movies that night. Well, I must say, Mr. Fisher, it's nice of you to have come all this distance to visit us. We hope you enjoyed your visit. It was nice having you with us, and what's my line? All right, panel, a very good beginning. Let's see what you can do with another challenger. Will you sign in, please, ma'am? Eva Shula. Is that right? Is it Miss or Mrs.? Mrs. Shula, and where are you from, ma'am?
Chesley, Ontario, Canada.
Chesley, Ontario, Canada.
Yes.
Well, that's very nice. Good. It must be cooler up there than
It
is
is.
here. Let's go up to where you came from. Huh? All right, I tell you, I would like you to walk down in front of the panel so they get a closer look at you, please.
Hello. Nice to see you. You look so cool.
Yes, he does. All right, Mrs. Shula, if you will, over here, please. And sit down next to me. I'll get all the things back to the starting position, as they say. And ask you, first of all, if you're familiar with our scoring system with the cards. Are you?
Yes, I am.
Good. If
I've
you're
seen
familiar with it.
several times.
You've seen it several times? Well, that's
Yes.
wonderful. Come on in and be comfortable. Then let's let the folks who are at home, our friends here in the theater, know exactly what your line is. All right. Mrs. Shula is self-employed. Let's begin the general questioning with Arlene Francis.
Mrs. Schuler, is the product connected with what you do?
No.
That's 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Cerf.
You perform a service then, Mrs. Schuler.
Yes, I do.
Is it a service that you perform in your own hometown?
Yes.
Do people come to you for this service?
Yes.
When they come to you, do they find you in quite a different costume than you're wearing tonight?
Oh, yes.
Would it be a utilitarian sort of a costume?
No, just ordinary.
What Mrs. Shula means to convey is that she would be wearing
Just the
normal
ordinary
street
costume.
dresses when she's working.
For the service that you perform, Mrs. Schuler, do you need some special kind of training and apprenticeship?
No.
That's 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, you must need some little knack that you have, don't you, to be a success in it?
Well,
No.
let me answer this if I may. This is so general an area that I would just say that, to be successful or to achieve even a modicum of financial return,
I
one
suppose
must know
so.
how to conduct what activities one interests oneself in over any period of time.
Oh, you've done it again.
All right. Do you work indoors, Mrs. Schuler?
Yes.
Do people come to you?
Yes.
Do you give them any sort of advice?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Lewis.
Why is that funny?
I'd like to find out a little bit more about the training. In other words, if you are a generally capable lady, any other generally capable lady, knowing a little bit about what you do, could do it probably. Is that
Yes.
correct? Could a gentleman do it?
Yes.
It would not be embarrassing for him to
No.
engage in that.
Yes, it would not be embarrassing.
Oh, yeah. Do you deal with both men and women?
Yes.
And they both come to you. Could
Yes.
they come together?
Yes.
Uh-huh. And there would be no embarrassment.
No.
Yes, there would be no
Is
embarrassment.
there any pleasure attached? Suppose Arlene and I came into your place of business one night.
Oh, go on.
Would we leave in a happier frame of mind?
Yes.
Is there then any entertainment contained in what you do? Might I consider it in the broadest aspect?
Yeah, the broadest aspect. Yes. Now, I would say this, that you certainly would be free to consider that there had been entertainment involved in the visit, yes.
Uh-huh. Thank you.
It's all
I'm
right.
glad we had a good time.
Yeah, would I have to pay for the... I would naturally have to pay for the entertainment I received.
Yes.
Would this entertainment be anything other than my just sitting in a chair and relaxing and watching somebody else do something? Would it be anything other than that?
Yes.
Would it then involve me physically in some sense? Or Arlene, as the case.
Yes.
Probably Arlene, because I'm not very physical. Would I participate in any kind of activity?
The presumption is valid.
Well, then
that
might it possibly be that if Arlene and I went together to this place that you operate, we might very well win first prize if we studied our rumba or mambo or something like that? No.
No, that's 4 down and 6 to go, Miss Francis.
Thank you for taking me, though, Bob.
I enjoyed it.
Do several people come at one time?
They can.
They
Or you
can.
come alone.
They can come alone or they can come at one time.
Don't give them any information, little one. Make it as hard on them as you can.
Is this to your own home that they come as opposed to a place of business?
No.
That makes it 5 down and 5 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mrs. Schuler, do you give them any kind of license or permission to do something?
No.
6 down and 4 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
May I eliminate seances? You're not a medium, are you?
No.
Yes.
Am I?
No, yes, you are not no.
May I also eliminate fortune teller or palmist?
No.
Yes, you may.
eliminate.
I've got you doing it, haven't I, Mrs. Shaw?
Robert Q has an idea. Could we have
You
a
may
conference?
have 10 seconds for a conference.
Indoors?
Conferences must be held out loud. We have no secrets.
Sorry, I said
Well-
sports of some kind.
Sports. Are these people who come to you, could they be single as well as married?
Yes.
All right. Do you have anything to do with sports? Are there any sports going on where you hold your place of business? In a broad sense.
Yeah, it is.
call it that.
Sport, yeah.
Is it a type of game that people play?
Yes. Bingo.
Boys and girls together?
They can.
Is any gambling involved?
Not, we don't. Perry.
Kissing game.
Post office.
Yes.
You're on.
Are there any round objects involved in the sport?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
Bowling. Do you run a bowling?
Bowling, that's wonderful. That's 7 down and 3 to go, Miss Francis.
There are round objects involved?
Yeah.
Is it anything like table tennis or
Table
ping pong?
tennis, that makes it 9 down, 1 to go, Miss
Oh, what is it? Conference?
Conference?
5 seconds.
Billiards.
1, 2.
A snooker?
Is it a billiard, a pool parlor that you run?
Yes, it's a I'm going to flip that anyway because I think probably it would have only taken you no time to tell us that Mrs. Schuller runs one. She runs a pool room up there in Canada, and you made a wonderful time for us. And thanks for coming. We had a lot of fun. It's good to have you with us. Thanks a lot. Nice to see you. Well, we'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrities, for which my friends on the panel are always blindfolded, and the blindfolds are all in place, are they, panel?
Yes, sir.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? All right, panel, as you know, in the case of our mystery challenger, we depart from the usual rules, go to a new pattern. You ask one question at a time, in turn, moving clockwise. And we'll begin the general questioning with Robert Q. Lewis.
Well, from the applause, it would seem that you had just flown back from Geneva. Are you, you must be terribly well known, sir. Have you recently, would I have seen your picture in the newspapers recently?
No, I hardly think so.
I think that the question was put in that terms recently, and our guest has said no. We'll call that 1 down, 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Sounds like somebody from outer space. Are you a performer?
Well, yes, I'd say yes.
I don't know yet whether you're a man or a woman.
All right, Mr. Cerf.
I think it's a man. Are you a comedian?
Yes, I'd say it would probably be.
All right, Miss Kilgallen.
Do you do anything besides perform in the arts?
Yes.
Louis?
Oh, I know. Thank you for letting me work tonight. I'm sure, I don't know, I'm sure.
I had my voice under glass.
You can't mistake that, boy.
Hello.
Isn't it wonderful to have him back?
We were all worried about how you were feeling. It's wonderful to see you.
I'm not all back. What were you doing? How do you say that? What were you doing?
Well, I was talking.
You look through your glasses. I talk through my glasses.
How do you feel?
I feel fine, thank you, and I want to thank you, Dorothy, and Arlene, and Bennett, and John for sending me the things at the hospital. And I know if Bob knew that I was ill, he was so busy sitting in for me. But this sort of an operation, you can come back on a panel and nobody knows what's happened to you because it's...
I'm willing. Would you come on, Fred, and finish this thing tonight? Because...
No, I don't think so. You're doing so well, Bob. I'll do your show tomorrow for you.
Well, it's wonderful. I must say that, you know, when I came in this evening, everybody said, well, how's Fred? And I said, oh, he's fine. He'll probably convalesce for another week or 10 days, and then he'll be back with us. And I
Well, it was sort of an emergency, John, really. The doctor needed some money hurriedly. And I'm not sure that the surgeon wasn't formerly a tailor. I noticed when the incision was finished, I had a lapel on it. Would you like to show us your scar? Only in color. On medic. And on medic, sure.
Fred?
Yes,
Did
Dorothy.
they give it to you? Have you got it in a bottle?
Pardon?
Have you got it in a bottle? Did they give it to you?
No, I forgot to take my own bottle, and they didn't wear it.
I do think we ought to tell the few folks who don't know where Fred has been. He's been in the hospital. He had attack appendicitis.
That's true.
He lost his appendix.
I sure did.
But he gained a friend.
But
Yeah.
he gained a friend.
I gained a debtor, too. The doctor hasn't sent his bill yet.
Well, Fred, it's
Thank
wonderful
you
to
very
have
much,
you
John.
back.
I'm going to
thinking
save my
about-
glass.
You can take your glass back. panel. We didn't fool you as much as we'd hoped. Let's see what you can do with a real tough challenge. Now, would you sign in, please, sir? Simon Guillemot. Is that right? And, where are you from?
Le Saint,
Le Saint?
Brittany.
Oh, wonderful. Well, that's grand. We have a guest from France, from Brittany. Yes. Well, it's nice to have you here. Would you be good enough to walk down and let the panel have a chance to get a close look at you?
Bien, monsieur.
No.
Enchanté de vous
Bonjour.
voir, monsieur.
Bonjour, monsieur. Votre aunt est sur la table.
All right, Mr. Guillemot, if you'll come over here and sit next to me. And I think it's only fair to announce here that we give French lessons on odd Tuesday nights on this program, too. Do you know how we score this, Mr. Guillemot? Well, if you can say no to the panel to any question they ask you, why, I flip a card. And when we flip 10 cards, you've won the game, you see?
Yes.
But if they guess what it is you do before we flip the 10 cards, then they win the game. All right? Well, let's let the people who are at home and those who are here with us in the theater know exactly what your line is. I will announce that Mr. Guillemot is salaried, and then let's begin the general questioning with Miss Kilgallen.
Monsieur, are you connected with either beauty or cuisine?
No.
No. That's 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Lewis.
Vous avez compris qu'est-ce que c'est Mademoiselle Kilgallen a dit à vous? Oui.
Pretty
What did I say?
Mr. Berlitz, you're next.
Monsieur Guillemot, do you work for a profit-making organization?
No.
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
No profit.
These Frenchmen, they don't
They
care.
don't care about profit, of course not. C'est possible that you are un sailor?
Oui.
I'm a jambard! The jambard arrived a couple of days ago, huh?
That's right.
Yes,
The big
ma'am.
French
Warship.
battleship.
Yes.
Big French battleship.
Qu'est-ce que vous faites sur le bateau?
Would you like me to ask him?
He's a head waiter.
Head waiter.
On the boat. He's a French sailor, but now, since his accent gave him away, I flipped all the cards.
Of course.
I think that's a good idea. We thank you very much
Thank
for
you
being
very
our
much.
guest. Lovely to have you with us. All right, panel, let's see what you can do very quickly with another challenger. Will you sign in, please, sir? George Ito, is that right? How are you, sir? Now, you take a look at that panel. Where are you from, Miss Ito?
New York City.
New York City. Take a look at them. Now come with me. I don't want to put you through that trial. Tell you what we'll do. Right away, we'll tell the folks at home, those who are here with us, exactly what your line is, and then we'll see what the panel can do about it in about a minute and a half. All right? Mr. Ito is salaried. Let's begin the general questioning with Mr. Cerf, and you have about a minute and 15 seconds. See what you can do.
Mr. Ito, do you work for a profit-making organization?
Yes.
You do. Do you work here in New York?
New York City?
In the environs of New York?
Yes.
Yes.
Would you have anything to do with the culinary arts? Anything to do with food?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Do you require any special training for your work?
Yes.
Do you require a college degree?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Lewis.
Well, then is it the kind of work that almost anyone could learn to do?
I don't...
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
It might require, then, something specific that I, for example, might have to work on.
That's right.
Yes.
Would it be physical in any way?
Yes, I
Yes.
would think so.
I would have to develop some part of my body, in other words, to do what you do.
Oh, you must
Yeah.
do
Yes.
that.
I don't know that you need to develop that part, frankly, but then... I tell you what.
How can it have anything to do with my skull?
Well, we tell you, I have to flip all the cards. By default, Mr. Ito has won the contest. Because, you see, he's a fire eater out there at Arabian Nights at Jones Beach.
Oh.
I wish we'd had more time. Thanks very much for being our guest. It's nice to have you with us. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Now, till next week, good night, Miss Dorothy.
Good night, Bob.
Good night, Arlene.
Good night, Bennett. Good night, John.
And good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being with us on What's My Line?